Why is it that smoking pot is so frowned upon in our society? After all, numerous famous intellects support marijuana. Al Gore is considered by many to be the leading figure in climate change awareness and environmental preservation. But few people know that Al Gore also supports the legalization of marijuana. The famed German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "If one seeks relief from unbearable pressure, one is to eat hashish." The founding father of our nation, George Washington, said, "Make the most of the Indian hemp seed and sow it everywhere." Marijuana is one of the safest medicinal substances on the planet, and is supported by many acclaimed celebrity role models. Famous Hollywood actor Johnny Depp says, "I'm not a big pothead or anything like that, but weed is much, much less dangerous than alcohol." Other well-known supporters of marijuana include Snoop Dogg, all of the Marley family, Neil Young, Willie Nelson, Michael Phelps, Chris Farley, Al Gore, Andrew Jackson, Abraham Lincoln, Nietzsche, John Adams, James Madison, and JFK. A total of 11 United States presidents either grew, smoked, or supported the legalization of marijuana. With the support of some of the greatest thinkers and world leaders of all time, it's a wonder why marijuana is still legal. Common misconceptions about marijuana are set about by high-end government officials who think only of themselves and their own prosperity. Marijuana should be legalized on the basis that it has multiple accepted medicinal values, all the way from mild painkiller for people with back issues suffering from a car accident, all the way to people who have problems with nausea, suffering from or dealing with chemotherapy. It also has the potential to bring in billions of dollars from national revenue from taxing and regulating the drug, also from the DEA and local police enforcement agencies not having to enforce the nearly 800,000 arrests annually dealing with marijuana possession and or smoking it. Also, the cartels, the Mexican cartels, the DEA does not have to deal with them anymore, as they should not be a problem when the drug is legalized. The third reason it should be legalized is the government is not set in place to regulate what is good and bad for us. It's there to protect our liberty. It's not to protect us from ourselves. We are not all children. The people of the United States aren't children. The government is not our parents. They should not be the ones to decide what is good and bad for us. A brief history on the drug marijuana, also known as cannabis. It is indigenous to Central and South Asia. That's where it originated from. Its main active ingredient is THC. It is the, if you've ever seen the bud or the plant off of the actual tree, it's the trichomes, the shiny crystal things on the actual drug itself. It is what the THC attaches to your neural cannabinoids in your brain, and it causes feelings of euphoria and what people describe as the high of marijuana. In the United States, the first restrictions for sale of cannabis came in 1906, and in 1937, the Marijuana Tax Act was passed and prohibited the production of cannabis, not the smoking of the drug itself. The public opinion of the drug. In a recent poll taken by Gallup, it was taken earlier this month, 58% of the participants were in favor of legalizing the drug. The survey only consisted of 1,000 people, but it was a random collection from people across the United States, and it had a good variety of Republicans, Democrats, old people from 50 years plus to 18-year-olds and 25-year-olds, so it's a very accurate reading of public opinion in the United States of the drug itself. Not until this recent decade, 2010, 2011, 2012, and so on, have people really started questioning the government propaganda that they've been sending out to the people, saying marijuana destroys your brain cells, it kills your brain chemistry, and all the stuff that long-term memory is effective. Have people really started questioning this and actually looking at real sources with solid evidence and warranted evidence that have been taken by scientists and studies from colleges and universities? and people are starting to realize that marijuana really isn't as dangerous as people, or as the government has been saying it has been for a while now. And you're going to continue to see an upward trend of people in favor of legalization as more people from our era of kids start to progress and have the ability to vote, because we have the internet and all sources of media coverage, so we really can get full access and a correct database of knowledge on marijuana, and we really know more about it than any other generations have before us. So people are really more accepting of the drug nowadays. Marijuana has multiple accepted, legitimate medicinal qualities about it. The most common and generic quality it has is it's a mild painkiller. People who have back issues, or like I stated before, suffer from maybe a car accident or some sort of accident, they fell and hurt their back or hurt their legs. Marijuana offers a mild pain sedative with not many side effects, so a lot of people prefer it to harder pain relievers such as Oxycontin or things of that nature, because they don't like the side effects associated with the other drugs. And marijuana has minimal to no side effects associated with it. Another quality or medicinal quality it has is it stimulates appetite. This doesn't seem really like that big of a medicinal quality, but for people who are anorexic and have really true problems with they can't eat, it really helps them. Another group of people that it would help is age patients. They have a lot of trouble creating appetite, so they tend to become a lot more skinny, and it's not healthy for them not to eat, but they just don't have the appetite to eat, and marijuana really helps them with that. It also reduces nausea, which is really helpful for people who are dealing with chemotherapy, because nausea is a very common symptom associated with it, and for those of you who have vomited, it's unpleasant. It relieves eye pressure, which is glaucoma, is where your eyes, you feel like you have pressures, like similar to an airplane. When you're taking off, your eyes feel like something's pushing on the back of them. Marijuana really helps relieving this pressure back there. Also, it helps with sleeping. There are certain strains and different types of marijuana, such as indica or sativa. And if you have an indica strain, it is really helpful with sleeping. It really aids the sleeping process, and a lot of people say, they get better, fuller, and more relaxing sleep from it. Now these are only a few properties that it has, but there's many more accepted qualities from it. And now, this really isn't a medicinal quality, but a lot of people associate it with this and use it for this main purpose. It stimulates your creativity. It helps with creativity, and this is really helpful for people who maybe write books for a living or draw comics. It helps your imagination, I guess. It stimulates your imagination. And now, while this isn't technically a medicinal quality, it's also a quality of the drug that is a pro for it. If marijuana is legalized, it also has the potential to gain billions of dollars in revenue gain from the government taxing and regulating it. It is estimated that if marijuana was legalized in the U.S. on a national level, that it would bring in annually $8 to $10 billion a year, merely from just taxing the drug and fees associated with regulating the sale of it. Now, $10 billion a year is similar to the tobacco industry. Now, on top of that, you also have the $4 billion spent on the DEA and local police agencies that have to deal with busting drug houses and arresting people, anything associated with marijuana crimes. $4 billion a year, like I said, is spent on this. So if you add those two up, you get $14 billion a year of annual income. Now, with the economy the way it's in right now, and with the U.S., is $14 billion could really go a long way annually. And that is just right now. The number is expected to grow as popularity grows and more insight grows with marijuana, and the market becomes bigger and bigger each year. I'm going to address a few myths associated with marijuana here, and I'm going to make a statement that is wrong or just needs some correction here, and I'm going to give you the true version of the statement. To start, many of the opposition claims or the opposition arguments claim that it causes long-term mental effects and it is strongly addictive. Some effects of marijuana may include feelings of panic, anxiety, and paranoia. These experiences may be frightening, but the effects are temporary. And on the part that it states that it's strongly addictive, there are no ingredients in the drug itself that cause any physical dependence on the drug whatsoever. Another statement is that you can overdose on using the drug, and that is just wrong. It is impossible to overdose from THC, which is the active ingredient in marijuana. In order to overdose on it, you would need to smoke 3 pounds in under 10 minutes, which is virtually impossible. Another statement is it causes cancer, and this is just wrong. There is no correlation between marijuana and any types of cancer at all. The fourth statement is it kills brain cells. There's a correction to this. The drug itself does not kill your brain cells. When smoked, the hits that you take, which from the smoke, are usually held in to your lungs, are usually held in, and so your lungs can absorb the THC. And some brain cells die due to a loss of oxygen, not because of the drug. And the last statement is, or the last myth, is it affects short-term memory loss. While under the influence of the drug, your short-term memory is hindered and is affected, but these are only under the influence of the drug. After all, it affects wear off the drug. Your short-term memory loss is not affected at all and is at full working capacity. One of the opposition's most acclaimed arguments is that legalizing marijuana will lead to an increase in crime rates. The only way to prove this theory is through real-life experience. The only domestic experience we have with legalized pot was in Alaska in the 70s and 80s. After that, it was the law was changed and pot was resumed again as illegal. Government analysis of the crime rates over those years showed that there was no significant change whatsoever in the crime rate for these years. All other claims about the marijuana crime correlation are mere speculation with no evidence or backing to support them at all. Marijuana is also safer than the alternative legal drugs. Here I have some statistics with annual American deaths associated to these drugs, or caused by the drugs. Alcohol causes nearly 400,000 deaths a year. Tobacco, or my bad, let me correct that. Tobacco causes 400,000 deaths a year. Alcohol causes 100,000 deaths a year. Caffeine causes 2,000 deaths a year. Aspirin causes 500 deaths a year. And marijuana causes 0. In all of recorded history from the beginning of time, there has never been a single death that has been caused solely to a problem caused from marijuana. In conclusion, marijuana is safer than alcohol and tobacco-related products. It offers many legitimate, proven medical uses, from back pain to relieving nausea. It has the potential to stimulate the American economy with a $14 billion annual income. It has way too many pros for it and not enough cons against it for it to be illegal. To put it simply, marijuana should be legal. It is not the government's job to decide what is good and bad for us. In the word of Bob Marley, legalize it. Don't criticize it.